And we're going to start today with a very important speaker who has really done a lot in the last 2 years as chairman of the Nez Perce Executive Committee to get the entire region to look at this issue. Shannon Wheeler is an incredible speaker and a man who has showed us the power of tribal leadership. And so, Shannon, help get us started today.
Tatsmewi, Oikolohim Yuma, Enum Waswanik Titoka Timpt, we Oktpu, Katsiya Yao, Enum Honey Watts. Just like to thank the Creator for this beautiful day today and the opportunity to come together to speak for the salmon and for the rivers who need us to speak the truth on their behalf. And to open our hearts and minds to the opportunity of this crisis. The Nez Perce vision and actions with respect to the salmon have rested on what our people see as core truths. The status of salmon and steelhead and lamprey is dire. The 4 concrete barriers on the lower Snake River have devastating impacts on fish and tribal people. Restoring the lower Snake River to a natural river and reconnecting it to the near pristine habitat is something that the Nez Perce tribe has advocated for many, many years. And rebuilding the returns in those tributaries is very important to our way of life and to the region and to the landscape as well. And as dire as the situation already is, the fish may have even less time. Without action, given the looming impacts of climate warming. We see Congressman Simpson's energy and salmon plan as a unique legislative opportunity that should not be ignored and cannot be postponed. This is an opportunity for the entire Northwest and for our descendants to change our path into the future. To show that a crisis we can see coming is not inevitable. Northwest tribes are united. This is not about one tribe. Northwest tribes have become united, and the Northwest remains a map of many tribal homelands. Many lands from tribal people have been taken. From the Idaho Mountains to the Pacific Ocean, tribal support for the Simpsons plan includes our intention to bring at least some long ignored environmental justice to our people and to our homelands. The modern Northwest, with its massive irrigation and hydropower systems, was built on the backs of tribal people from the 1930s on. Though the use of destruction of the rivers and fisheries, we have lived for thousands of years. Northwest tribes support legislative opportunities Congressman Simpson has set forth because in focusing on facts and on solution, he is speaking the truth. That restoring salmon in the lower Snake River can also unite and strengthen all Northwest communities and economies. We are currently in a biological crisis, and what is happening to the fish is clear. The status of the Columbia salmon and the steelhead species is dire and is getting worse. Many populations of the Snake River, spring Chinook salmon, and steelhead are on a slope of extinction. The past month, our biologist presented a call to alarm on the ominous status of these populations. In an analysis that our co-managers and the Idaho Department of Fish and Game, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, and Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife concurred with. We're talking about the point where population becomes doomed to extinction, what biologists call quasi-extinction threshold. Right now, 42% of the Snake River spring and summer Chinook populations are at below the quasi-extinction threshold. That is 50 natural spawners returning to the tributaries for 4 consecutive years. And 77% of the population are predicted to drop below the QET levels over the next 4 years. And time may be even shorter than we realize as climate warming advances. For the Nez Perce, restoring the lower Snake River is the restoration of an actual living being, one that is injured. As the Snake River fish populations die, the rivers die. They are interconnected. It is tiring to hear that the Simpson Plan would somehow be harmful given climate warming. The lower Snake River is now a series of slow-moving, easily warmed lakes. Restoration to a naturally flowing river that then connects the fish to cold, high-altitude salmon and Clearwater Basin habitat is exactly what is needed for the best possible resilience so warming temperatures change. The Simpson Plan offers a solution to the salmon crisis through restoration of the critical river corridor. The lower Snake River and its natural connection to the pristine habitat of the enormous salmon and Clearwater basins. This has been the vision and public position of the Nez Perce for many decades. But we understand that what is unique about the Simpson Plan is that it proposes a biological solution for salmon within a larger proposal solution and benefits for multiple Northwest sectors and interest through broad funding. The proposal expands into comprehensive energy, infrastructure, and technology revisioning of the Northwest and the Columbia Basin. In combination, it proposes a better, smarter future for the Northwest through targeting river restoration, intensive investment in new, clean, renewable energy, new infrastructure, and new technologies, and long-term litigation and legal certainties. The Simpson proposal is not anti-hydropower. This is a tiresome accusation. It is almost obviously the reverse. It would remove 4 non-critical, non-storage dams to restore a critical Columbia Basin river corridor, but would provide long-term legal protections and license extensions for essentially all the remainder of the Columbia Basin hydropower system. Frankly, this should be so plain that some of our people see the disproportion in that direction. But we support the Simpson Plan because job one is addressing a true biological crisis, the looming extinction of many populations of salmon and steelhead. Our tribe and Northwest tribes greatly appreciate the leadership that Congressman Simpson, Congressman Blumenauer, and Governor Brown have shown at this critical moment. We continue to engage and meet with the new administration and other members of Congress, and we anticipate growing support and additional leadership. We must act now. I've heard that there will be a new statue for Billy Frank Jr. in the U.S. Capitol. Billy was a natural leader for salmon and for treaty rights, and it is good he is being recognized. But I don't think he would have cared that much about the statue himself. He would have cared about the fate of the salmon and the tribal peoples whose lives and culture depend on the salmon in every sense that matters. This is a moment now, this year, when there is a unique legislative opportunity, not after more years of planning for what we already know needs to be done, for leadership that would make him proud. I was on the phone this morning, with Willie Frank, Billy's son, and he echoed the words of his father. He said, "We always have to tell our story." And thank you for telling the story today. We are as Native people, and why the salmon are so important to all of us. And that was from Willie Frank, who's part of the Puget Sound tribe and who have salmon issues there as well, and have treated with the United States government and at arm's length to make a treaty, the Medicine Creek Treaty. And they face the same issues as we face with dwindling salmon runs. And it's all about our story of who we are and the things that we've done. You know, the Nez Perce treated with the United States of America in 1855. The treaty was ratified in 1859, securing a way of life in perpetuity, a way of life that includes salmon. But that's really not the long story. The long story is the salmon, the old money of the region, the way the region was at one time. When Lewis and Clark first came here, our people greeted them up on the prairie, fed them salmon, dried salmon, gave them horses, canoes, gave them an emblem so that they could pass through this territory. But it was the riches of the wealth of the region that they wrote about. And that's part of what the salmon are, who they are, what they provided to the landscape. That's the older story, older than us. And that's who we are here to speak for. That is exactly who we're here to speak for. Many times we forget with the changes of what we have today, the experiences of what we have today, and what we've become accustomed to not remember how this country was built and how this region was built on the wealth of the natural resources, and salmon being a keystone species that brings marine nutrients back and feeds the landscape. So as we know that we like to turn on our lights and charge our phones and get in our vehicles, you know, we as Nez Perce, we admit that we like those things as well. And that's speaking the truth. We also have to admit that the natural resources out there also need to be looked at and need to be spoken about in the same manner, truthfully. Through experience, science, and technology, we can do that. This is the generation. This is now. This is the crisis that we're in. And we need to recognize the truths and speak the truths to one another. We're all neighbors. We all live in the same region. We all live in the same area. That's the story of the salmon. Salmon have a difficulty migrating, returning. As Congressman Simpson put it, they have difficulty adapting and probably will not adapt. We as human beings can adapt, can change. We've experienced declining salmon numbers. We've seen the science and what it says, and we have technology to change. It's up to us to have that honest conversation, to speak the truth, to build a better future for the Pacific Northwest. That is why we are speaking here today, to speak for a species that cannot speak for themselves, but they can if we only listen. Katsia'ya, thank you for allowing me to speak here today, and I appreciate this opportunity to share with you a little bit about who we are and a lot about who the salmon are. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Very powerful. I was lucky several years ago when they were taking down the Elwha Dam to meet Billy Franks. And it's exciting that we're going to get some kind of recognition in the Capitol. And I hope we get some recognition in the Capitol of your efforts on this important issue. I want to ask you, this seems to now come down to getting Democrats from Oregon, Washington, and perhaps Montana to either counter Simpson's offer or come on board. How's that effort going?
Well, we continue to reach out and ask for the conversations to happen, and we will continue those efforts. And as I'd mentioned, that we've reached out to the administration, and we're continuing those efforts. We've had some luck there, which is we feel that is more momentum moving towards support of Congressman Simpson's plan, and any movement we feel is momentum. And we would just like the opportunity to speak to the senators of Washington and Oregon to sit down and have a candid conversation about the facts, the information, and how we really formulated an opinion about the situation, this crisis that the salmon are in.
Well, thank you. So we're going to move on here, and we were going to have Congressman Blumenauer is supposed to speak next, but he had a conflict. So yesterday, he and I did a video chat, and we're going to present that now. Again, Shannon, thank you so much for your participation and your strong words.
Thank you very much, Rocky.